Step 1. Learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube two-handed. Step 2. Learn good one-handed turning. In one-handed solving, the cube should be held in the non-dominant hand, which for most of you is the left hand. This may seem counterintuitive because most people are right-handed, but I mean, grab a cube right now and do the T-perm. What do you notice about it? It very much favors the right hand. So if you were holding the cube in your right hand, moves on the right side of the cube are actually quite hard to do because of how you're holding it. Also, your left hand is far more used to stabilizing the cube in general. And cube stability in one-handed solving is really important. And because of the nature of a lot of algs, even a lot of left-handed solvers also use their left hand in OH solving. Next, let's learn how to finger trick all 6 sides. The cube's normally held like this, thumb in front, third and fourth fingers stabilizing behind, the pinky generally on the bottom for stability, but you should be able to release both of these fingers to free them up for some turning. Speaking of, the 2 most important sides you want to be good at turning are the up and right faces. U primes are super easy, that's just your index finger moving that top layer. U's are a little bit harder but should be done like this. Move your index to the front and push it back. You can also push it like this, a little bit less common, or for a U2, combine both actions. R moves are done with the pinky, like this. And you guessed it, for R prime, the pinky goes in front and pushes it back. If you find that hard to do, you might have to experiment with how you hold the cube, or maybe get a smaller cube. More on that later. Next 2 most important moves, F and D. F moves are generally done with the thumb, like that. And you can use your thumb for F prime as well. Or, this is a bit harder, but worth training, F primes with your index, like this. D moves are usually done with your ring finger, just like that. Oh, cute little pinky trying to help. Which of course means D primes would just be the opposite, using the ring finger to push. D, D prime. For L moves, simply rotate the cube and do it as if they're U moves. It's sometimes more a case of your hand adjusting like that. And finally, for B moves, just avoid them completely. I'm only half joking there. I mean, again, you can rotate and do them like U's, but for one-handed solving, it's super important to use solutions that are finger trick friendly. For M moves, you can use the table and do that. And I mean, you have to if you're a Ru solver, but if you don't use the table, which I prefer, you can just do an R wide and then R prime, or the inverse. It's pretty quick. When you're starting out, many of these moves will not come naturally at all. But trust me, with enough practice, it will. It takes a bunch of effort, but it will eventually start feeling like second nature. Step 3, choose solutions that are one-handed friendly. I'll be using CFOP for my demonstrations. All good CFOP solvers know the cross should ideally be solved on the bottom, but for one-handed solving, it's totally fine for the cross to be facing you, to the side, or even on the top. That's a tip that I learned from Patrick Ponce, 3-time world record holder for one-handed average. So for example, for this cross solution, I might hold it so the cross is facing me and do this. U prime, F, U, R prime, U, R prime. And once that's done, a quick rotation and alignment. For the solution to this cross, I might hold it on the side like this. U to get orange in place, R prime to align, and then I can do a cheeky U prime and D at the same time to finish off my cross. Next, choose algorithms that are 2-gen friendly. The JB perm uses R, U, and F moves to complete, and that makes it a 3-gen algorithm. Because R and U moves are what we want to use in one-handed solving, as far as possible, choose solutions that only use those moves. This F12 case, for example, can be solved in so many ways. But there is a 2-gen solution that, although it takes 11 moves to complete, as you saw, can be spammed really quickly. In general, solutions with a low move count are favorable, which is why it's better to avoid dot cases. Like, the solutions may not be hard, but they're generally very long. And you can often tell, if I insert this pair the regular way, I'm gonna get a dot case OL. Yuck. But if I had sledged in that case instead, so that would be R prime, F, R, F prime, I get this case. Much nicer. Step 4, learn some new OH-friendly last layer algorithms. When starting out, many people struggle with OH because, I mean, you might know the R perm two-handed easily, but one-handed? All of a sudden, hang on, what's the next? And that's because you encoded it in your brain using muscle memory with both hands. And so it sometimes feels like you honestly need to relearn all these OH algorithms from scratch. My suggestion is to go through every PLL that you know, see if it's decent enough one-handed, and if it's not, find something better. I personally use Felix Zemdek's OH algorithm sheets to learn a bunch of new last layer algorithms. You can find that on his Cube Skills website, link in the description. I should say, I'm someone who uses M moves for all my U perms, for example, so I had to relearn how to do that. Speaking of, here's how I do all my edge PLLs without M moves. For the UA perm, it's RU prime, RU, RU, RU prime, R prime, U prime, R2. For the UB perm, it's R2U, U, and then R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R prime, U, R prime. The H perm's a fun one. It's R2, U2, R, U2, and then R2, U2, R2, U2, R, U2, R2. Finally, the Z perm using the good old Ting Boy cube. You want to hold it so the adjacent colors are to the left and front. And then you're going to go R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R, U, R, U prime, R prime, U, R, U. And you can probably see how it finishes. R2, U prime, R prime, and AUF. Relearning PLLs one-handed is challenging, and I only just became full PLL this year, believe it or not, but it's very worth it. I'm also only 2 or 3 algs away from knowing full OH OLL too. Speaking of, even if you know a lot of OLLs, sometimes it can be more worth it to just do it to look, because a lot of these cross OLLs can be very quick. Also, if you know some C OLLs, they will always set up H PLL cases, which as we saw are very nice one-handed, or a skip. So, what does this all look like in practice? Let me give you 2 example solves. Although first, I haven't forgotten, step 5, get a good cube for one-handed. So basically, use the smallest cube possible. I'm just kidding, please don't use that. When Ola first started out with OH, she used the YJ Mini. It's a nice cube to hold in the hand, but it is getting a little bit old now. As her hands got bigger, she started using the GAN Mini. Nice to hold in the hands too, but both of these cubes are, how do I say it? They're on the old side. The new smallest Dian Guhong is pretty nice for one-handed, coming in at 54 millimeters. But can I say, you'll be surprised at how comfortable a regular sized Rubik's Cube feels when it comes to one-handed. I mean, if using a smaller cube gave you an advantage, it doesn't explain why all the top OH solvers use regular sized cubes in their solving. Really what you want is just a really nice stable cube, smooth and magnetic, one that aligns really easily too, so you know you're not constantly having to like make a move, bang it against the table to realign it. One like, oh hey, it's the Tingman cube. Okay, look, it's not random that we chose these cubes as our signature cubes. They're honestly really great for one-handed solving. The Tingman cube based on the V10 has insane, look, 45 degrees corner cutting. But if you want something smaller, the Ola cube based on the V9 is 55 millimeters. And don't tell her this, it's probably my preference for OH solving myself. But honestly, you can't go wrong with either. All right, here we go, scramble on the bottom. I'm gonna solve this using white cross because that's what most of you use, and I do as well. All right, so for this solution, let's build the cross like this. Red and blue are really nice for going in. So I'm gonna do a U prime to get orange in place, rotate it so that white is facing me, get red, blue, orange, and then, oh, because that pair is there, especially because that pair is there, we're gonna do U2, and then we can finish the cross this way. Actually, before we put it in, let's put that pair in as well. Didn't plan to do that X cross, but you know, I'll take it if it's there. And actually, I should say, one of my favorite things about one-handed solving is because your TPS, turns per second, is naturally just slower. You actually do have the chance to look ahead more and actually set up some really nice solutions like that one. In two-handed solving, where you're just spamming moves, you often miss nice stuff like that. All right, next let's do this pair. If it was two-handed, I would do something like this. So a bunch of L moves, right? And you might be thinking, well, that's trickier one-handed, but check this out. Rotate, and all of a sudden, 2-gen solutions that use left and up layer moves can completely be done as if they are up and right layer moves. It's actually pretty awesome. So watch, this pair can be entirely done by just rotating it like this and just doing R and U moves. R prime, hide the corner, and then R2, U prime. It's actually beautiful. I'm gonna rotate now to do this pair. And it's, I mean, partly because it's nice to do it into the back, but also that means that I can use R and U moves. So set that up and then put it in. Interesting case. Let's set it up over here. And then let's insert that on the right side. Now I do know the one-handed OLL for this, but like mentioned before, Tuluk can sometimes give you some nicer cases. Ooh, like this one, which I know if I do the standard OLL algorithm, I'm gonna set up an edge PLL because these two colors are the same. So let's do that. And sure enough, Z perm, not as nice, but not bad. And we're done. Our next solve, I reckon we can do it in a way that preserves this pair. I'm gonna hold it with white facing me. Remember, I've got green, white right there. So I'm gonna go U, F prime, D2 to get that in. And then let's get orange in, move that pair out of the way, get red in, and then we can align the cross. Beautiful. Managed to preserve the pair, which is lovely. Let's put it in over there in the back. That sets up this case really nicely, which, because it's all done on the left side, we're going to rotate the cube like this and then do it using RNU moves. It's a lovely F2L case, actually. I really like that one. Now we're going to have to rotate to do these last two. So let's set this one up like this. And if I do it this way, I'll also take that pair out, which is nice. And insert that. And I'll need to rotate back to finish this last pair. And you see it's actually quite easy to do almost all of these F2L cases using just 2gen. The square OLL, which is very much worth learning to do, even if it feels awkward, and oh, the Y perm. I mean, it's a nice perm to do. It's just so long. Oh, hey, if you've thought of anything that's really important for a new OH solver to know, why don't you leave it down in the comments? I've also recorded 5 more OH walkthroughs, which will be exclusive to my Patreons this month. Link in the description if you want to join. There's a bunch of stuff there that's super fun. Joining now also unlocks everything I've ever put up on Patreon, so it's pretty worth it. The Tingman Ola and Tingboy cubes are still on sale at the Cubicle right now, so make the most of that. All right, all the best of your one-handed journey. Bye.